Namaskar everyone and welcome to the Geeta Satsang for today. So let us start with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Geeta Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the Shlokas. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostu Te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Ramanujadaya Patram Jnana Vairagyabhushanam Srimad-Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta-Deshikam Yo Nityamachyutapadambujayugma-rukma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror-Bhagavatosya Dayaika-Sindho Ramanujasya Charanam Sharanam Prapadye. So with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us take up our shlokas for today. So last satsang we have seen the first and second shlokas of the third chapter, and we saw how Arjuna was raising a question to Krishna, that you told me about Sankhya Yoga, you told me about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. So what is it that you want me exactly to do? Which one should I follow? You tell me clearly, he says. So now in the third shloka onwards, Lord starts explaining. So in the third shloka, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Lokesmin Vividhanishta Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. So the Lord says, O Anagha, O sinless one, O Arjuna, who has no blemish, who has no sin. The two paths leading to enlightenment were previously explained by me. So in the second chapter, Lord has explained what are those two paths. The path of knowledge for those who are inclined towards contemplation, and the path of work for those who are inclined towards action. So here Krishna is once again summarizing and telling Arjuna that previously I told you about two things. So one is Sankhya. So Sankhya means buddhi. So when you say Sankhya Yoga, it means the path in which the buddhi is used, the path where there is contemplation, there is constant focusing on knowledge which is gained about the nature of the Lord. And that Jnana Yoga is for those who have a philosophical kind of a mind, those who have the inclination, those who have the ability to think and contemplate, to meditate about all these aspects, right? For them, Sankhya Yoga is told. Now, there are some other kind of people who have an inclination for action. They are more given towards doing something rather than simply sitting and thinking and contemplating on things. So for those people who have more inclination for doing some action, for them it is Karma Yoga. Now, why these two different things are told? We know that when a patient has some disease or some problem and he goes to the doctor will give the medicine as per whatever is the disease that the patient has. Even like you take the case of somebody who is having fever, then although they may give a drug to suppress the fever, but depending on what is the cause of that fever, the doctor will also prescribe other medicines to get to the root cause of that fever, right? So medicines are given as per the disease. Now, Krishna, who is he? He is the supreme doctor, isn't it? We always say, Vaidyo Narayano Hari. So Krishna is going to give what is the disease that we are having. it is being caught up in this samsara sagara, being caught up in this cycle repeatedly, birth and death, janma mrityu cycle we are caught up in. So that is our vyadhi, that is our disease. So what is Krishna prescribing as the medicine here? Based on our status, based on our ability, he is telling two things. Now there are some people who have excellent control over the senses, people who are able to control the senses, control the mind, use the buddhi to contemplate. So these are the people for whom Krishna prescribes Jnana Yoga. Now, there are other set of people who cannot control the senses, who cannot stop from doing anything. Always their mind will be running to this and that, right? But for such people, if they can learn to use the senses in an effective manner, then they can utilize their senses, they can utilize all their indriyas, the pancha jnanendriya, the pancha karmendriya, to perform actions. So for those people, he has told about karma yoga. So if we look at the way in which Krishna explained this karma yoga and jnana yoga, in the previous chapter, first he told about karma yoga and later he told about jnana yoga. So as we already said last time, it appears as if the initial stage is karma yoga and then it is jnana yoga. So you have to do this and then you have to do that. That is what is the idea that we are likely to get. But we must not think of them as inferior and superior. We must not say that karma yoga is at the lower level and jnana yoga is at the higher level. They, rather than looking at them as inferior and superior, that one is less than the other or the other one is more than the other, instead of looking at it like that, we just need to understand that they are different aspects. And why they are different aspects? Because they are geared to help people who are having different kinds of mindsets, people who have different kinds of capacities. So in that chapter, when Krishna was telling, he told that somebody who is a sthita prajna, somebody who has controlled the senses and the mind, such a person is worthy of jnana. And this jnana yogi will get atma sakshatkara. So does it mean that only jnana yoga will give atma sakshatkara? Then why here Krishna is now going to tell about karma yoga? Because karma yoga can also lead to atma sakshatkara. But how that will happen? We have to perform karmas. But while doing that karma, if we realize what is the actual nature of the Atma and Sharira, how the Atma is Nitya and the Sharira is only Kshanika, it is temporary. The Atma is eternal. So that nature of the Atma and the Sharira, what is the sambandha between them? If we realize that relationship, then if we accept, if we understand that within the Atma there is the Paramatma, and if whenever we are performing the karma, we have the bhava that the Lord is the one who is doing it through me. I am only the madhyama. I am the nimitta matra. So action is being done by me, but he is actually the doer. He is using me as an instrument and performing the action, getting the action done. So if you have this level, okay, we don't really need to know too much in detail. We may not be as very accomplished as a karma yogi. But if we are able to even reach to this level of jnana, this much only of jnana if we have, that Atma is Nitya, Sharira is not. The Paramatma is there within the Atma. And this Paramatma who is within the Atma is the doer and he is getting things done through me. So if I do karma yoga with this jnana, then I can use karma yoga itself to get to Atma Sakshatkara. So that is why it is told that we need not say that do karma yoga, only then you will get jnana and only then you will get atma sakshatkara. It is not like that. If you do karma yoga with this level of jnana, you will directly also attain atma sakshatkara. Now, we saw in the last satsang, we talked about how jnana yoga is part of the nivritti marga and karma yoga is part of the pravritti marga. So nivritti marga means to give up things and pravritti marga means to use and do enjoy things, or rather to be involved with things in this world. So then when we look at it like that superficially, it appears as though they are contradictory to each other, isn't it? So we say jnana yoga means a person has to give up attachment to the senses. And karma yoga means he has to use his senses. So aren't they in opposite directions? Aren't they contradictory with each other? No, because there are two things here. First, most of the times, the people who are doing this jnana yoga and karma yoga, they will be different. Like we already said, there are some people who have inclination for contemplation and philosophical kind of thinking and all that. So they will be more suited and they will go for jnana yoga. There are some people who cannot do that. They will be preferring to do some active action. So they will go for karma yoga. So when two different sets of people are going in two different paths, there is no question of any contradiction. Right. So that is the first case. The second case, let us consider that there is one person and he is only doing both. Okay. Even then, we will not say that when he does karma yoga, he's going in one direction. When he does jnana yoga, he's going in another direction. Why is that so? Because actually, to practice jnana yoga, your mind has to be calm. How the mind will be calm? It has to not get moved by the impulses of the senses. And how that will come? Only when a person regularly practices karma yoga. Right now, the mind is full of impurities. The mind is running behind this wherever the senses are taking it. And the mind is therefore not able to be still. And therefore, that calmness is not there and jnana yoga is not possible. But let us say somebody performs karma yoga. You already know what is this karma yoga. Karma yoga is doing with the realization that Lord is doing through me. Karma yoga is realization that um, I am the madhyama. Karma yoga is realization that I should not have any desire for an outcome. I should not want something good to happen to me because of performing the karma. So I should offer everything that I am doing to the Lord. So if I keep doing like this, if I keep pursuing karma yoga in this manner, what will happen after some time? Will my mind remain the same? Definitely not. And when I'm doing the karma yoga, if I gear and move all my karmas towards the Lord, you remember we talked about that also in the second chapter, that I make the Lord the object of all my senses, then what is going to happen over time? Our mind will get cleansed, our mind will get purified, right? So when I regularly perform karma yoga, I will naturally attain a calm mind. And because of that, I will then be qualified suitably to practice jnana yoga. So even if the same person is doing both, at one point of time he will have done karma yoga and that will prepare him to do jnana yoga. So we need not think that karma yoga is one thing and jnana yoga is totally opposite of that, right? Now why Krishna is telling Arjuna to do karma yoga first? What is Arjuna's thing? That he says, I will give up all this. I will take sannyas and go away to the forest. I don't want to fight in this war. So he's, what you say, leaning towards Jnana Yoga. But what Arjuna is being told by Krishna, you perform your karma, you do your actions, do it as an offering to me. You don't think that you are going to kill these people. You do what is your dharma as a Kshatriya. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you do karma yoga first. Why? Because right now, Arjuna's status, his state is such that he is not mentally equipped to perform Jnana Yoga. In Arjuna's mind, maybe he has sense control. Definitely, he has a lot of control over his senses. He is a very superior person. But still, he is affected by the emotions that come to the mind. So that is why Krishna is asking him that you first do karma yoga. And here the commentators explain that if you see this crane which stands in the water and it is waiting and watching, and whenever a fish comes, it dips its beak into the water, picks up that fish and eats it, right? So when the crane is waiting for the fish to come, any fish which comes there, it will pick it up no matter how big, how small, whatever, and eat it up. But if it has to feed its baby, it will only make sure that it picks a very tiny fish and gives to the baby crane. Why this is done? Why the crane behaves like this? Why it can't pick a big fish and give it to the crane baby? Because the baby is having limited ability. So giving too big a fish to the baby will cause problems. The baby will not be able to consume it, right? So it's of no benefit. So the mother crane will pick and give small fish to the baby crane. Similarly, now Krishna knows that Arjuna is still just starting out on this path. So Arjuna has a far way to go. So Arjuna should now first do karma yoga because that is the way to fruitfully engage the senses and the mind. By doing that later, he will be able to do karma yoga. So this is one of the reasons why Krishna is telling Arjuna that you first do karma yoga. As we go further in this chapter, we will see that there are many more reasons why Krishna is telling all this. But for today, in this shloka, what we have seen, Krishna is actually summing up that, O Anaga, O Arjuna. Previously, I explained you the two paths which lead to enlightenment, Atma Sakshatkara. One is the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, and the other one is the path of karma, Karma Yoga. Right? Now we move on to the next shloka. In the fourth shloka, Lord Krishna is further explaining. Now here he says, Na karmana manarambhan, naishkarmyam purusho shrute, na cha sanyasanadeva, siddhim samadigacchati. He's telling Arjuna, one cannot achieve freedom from karmic reactions by merely abstaining from work, nor can one attain perfection of knowledge by mere physical renunciation. So here he's telling him about the two things, that just because you think you are going to not do any actions because you are performing Jnana Yoga, it does not mean that you will not have any karma and reactions which come from the karma. At the same time, just because physically you are giving up the action, it does not mean you will get Jnana, right? So when I think that I will give up the karmas, and by giving up karma, I will take sannyas and I will become jnani, it is not necessary that it will happen in that way only. And when I say that I don't want to do this karma, and because of that, because if I do karma, I will get caught in more and more cycle of birth and death, so I will not do karma. That also is not very guaranteed, because just because I'm not doing karma, it does not mean that my mind is not working, isn't it? Physically, I may not be performing the action externally, but what is happening in my mind? The mind, as we said, is impure at this level. So with that impure mind, it is going to keep thinking about things. It is going to keep running behind this and that. So when that is the situation, although externally there may not be action which is visible, but the mind is still very much involved with its sense objects and sense pleasures. So at that point of time, just because you have not done the karma does not mean that you will become jnani. By giving up everything in the world around you does not mean that you will become jnani. So why now Krishna is telling this? Because you remember Arjuna said that I will take sannyasa, I will go away to the forest, I will become jnani, I will do dhyana and all that. So Arjuna wants, it is his wish that I will directly go to Jnana Yoga. Why do all this action and this and all that? I will give up everything. I will not perform any action. I will go to the forest. I will take sannyasa. And I will live my life like that. So here, that is why Krishna is explaining that just because you give up the karma, it does not necessarily become equal, or it does not necessarily guarantee that you will reach the stage of karma yoga, of the stage of Jnana Yoga. Now, when somebody does karma with an expectation, that is going to bind them up in samsara, right? So, just because you are karma yoga, if you are just practicing karma, okay, and not doing karma yoga, what is the difference between these two things? Doing karma means doing some action and with the feeling that I am the doer. This is my action. This is something that I am doing for XYZ benefit, right? So that kind of performing karma with an expectation is what will bind us more and more in the samsara. If I do that type of action, no use. I cannot say I'm doing karma yoga. So when I do this karma also, what is important here? The karma has to be performed along with jnana. Then it becomes jnana yoga. Then it becomes karma yoga. That little bit of jnana. You remember I talked about previously, realizing the Atma Sharira Sambandha, realizing that the Paramatma is there, doing with bhava that God is doing through me. When I do my karma with that jnana, it becomes karma yoga. And only when I do like that, then there is no further binding in this world. So what does this mean? Just giving up the world will not lead to jnana. Till the mind is impure, jnana yoga is not possible. So what is the solution now that Krishna is telling? He is saying, keep doing karma yoga regularly. Keep doing karma yoga repeatedly. When you keep doing karma yoga, the mind will get cleansed. And with such a clean and pure mind, then you will be qualified to perform jnana yoga. Now, what is Arjuna's wish? He wants to run away from the battlefield. And what Krishna is telling him instead, he's saying, you should not run away. You perform your karma. Perform your karma with the right bhava so that it becomes karma yoga. So you fight. You go through all the experiences that are going to come your way when you fight. You learn to stay unaffected by all the things that happen. And when you have gone through all this, then because you have done karma yoga, then your mind will have got cleansed, and then you can go to the next stage of jnana yoga. Then you can say, I'm giving up this and only spending my time in contemplation. Right? So Arjuna wants, his wish, his desire is to do jnana yoga. But what Krishna is trying to explain to him is that just because you want to do something, it does not mean that you will be definitely able to do that. So mere wishing for something is not enough. The ability to do that is also equally important, isn't it? So just because I want to do something doesn't mean that I will be able to do that. I should first see whether I'm capable enough to do that. So Krishna is now guiding Arjuna about what he has to do to cultivate that ability, to qualify himself, to make himself capable of performing Jnana Yoga. So Krishna is telling him, you do Karma Yoga first, and then after you go through that, you will reach the stage where you can practice Jnana Yoga. So this is like the commentators explain that suppose there is a child. Now let me say I take my child to a school, and that school has classes which are from 1 to 10. Now I admit my child into class 1. Now next year what is going to happen? The child is going to go from class 1 to class 2. Then it will go to class 3, isn't it? Now I cannot say that, oh, you are having up to class 10. Put my child in class 10 in the second year. That will not happen, isn't it? Because the child has to develop the skills, the knowledge, whatever is required gradually. So the process will take place in a slow manner. So that is how stepwise, even in the sadhana, we have to go from what is simple to what is complex. So why this karma yoga is simple, why it is easier to do that, will be explained by Krishna in the subsequent shlokas. But for today, we need to understand that Krishna is telling that just because you don't do the work, don't think that you will not accumulate karma. And just because you give away physical action, you give up physical action, you take sannyas, you will not get, you will not be able to practice jnana yoga. Till the mind is impure, you will be caught up in this samsara only. You cannot do jnana yoga also, you can't do karma yoga also. So start performing the karma and gradually mind will get cleansed, and then you will be able to perform jnana yoga. You'll be able to understand what is the concepts which are told in jnana yoga. So in our Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is always a practice that whenever there is a matha, there is somebody who has to be a mathadipati, right? Swami Ramanujacharya had established 74 mathadipatis, and he had told that these people should carry on the work of the sampradaya. So every time, whenever there is somebody who has to succeed the previous acharya who is in that sthana, right? Then it is always preferred that somebody who has gone through grihastha should take sannyasa and attain that position of the acharya, of the mathadipati, rather than directly jumping from the brahmachari stage to sannyasa. What is the reason for this? The commentators explain that when somebody has passed from brahmacharya stage into grihastha stage, they have been given an ample opportunity. There are so many occasions where they have to do their duty and they have to learn how to perform their duties, perform their actions, and stay unaffected by it. So there is a lot of opportunity for doing karma yoga when you are in grihastha. So that will make you, give you the pakwa, that will make you, you know, really of the metal, which is ready to raise to the next level. So rather than directly going from brahmachari stage to sannyasa to becoming the acharya and the mathadipati, it is always preferred that somebody who has gone through the stage of grihastha will then later be the spiritual guide. So here I would just like to share in very briefly the anecdote from the life of Swami Embar. So we are familiar with Swami Ramanujacharya. His maternal uncle, right? So his mother and his mother's brother. His mother's brother was one of the acharyas, Tirumalai Nambi. So this Swami Ramanujacharya's mother had a sister, younger sister, and to her also one son was born. And that boy's name was Govinda. He was called as Govinda Bhattar in his original stages. So they were very close. They were cousins, isn't it? Maternal cousins. So Ramanujacharya and Govinda, they were very close. So we know that Ramanuja and Govinda were studying together under an acharya called Yadava Prakasha. Now, this Yadav Prakasha was from the Advaita philosophy school, and certain interpretations which he gave to whatever Upanishad Vakyas, Veda Vakyas were not acceptable to Ramanuja. So, and he used to question and he used to propose an alternate solution. So that Yadav Prakasha, the guru, was very angry, and many of the Shishyas and that Yadav Prakasha, they plotted that they want to finish off Ramanuja. So once they were on a yatra to Kashi, so at that point of time, they hatched a plot that one day when he's sleeping, they will kill him. They will kill Ramanuja. This Govinda, who was Ramanuja's cousin, heard of that plot and he warned Ramanuja, and Ramanuja escaped from that area before they could do anything. Now, they all thought that Ramanuja has, something has happened, he's got lost. So they continued to Kashi. Ramanuja, in the meantime, by the Lord's guidance, he came back to Kanchipuram. But this Govinda went to Kashi, and there, when he was bathing in the Ganga, he found that one Shivalinga came into his hand. So he was told by Yadav Prakasha that this is a sign that you should be worshipping Lord Shiva. So he went to a place called Madhura Lingam, and then from there he went to Kadahasti. And there he set up a temple and all that, and he was worshipping that linga. Now later, through the Mama, through Tirumalai Nambi, Ramanuja got Govinda back into the Sri Vaishnava fold. Now after some time of that, this Govinda was very much inclined for Adhyatma. So, but his mother was, very upset by all this. She said that she went to Ramanuja. After all, her nephew, she went to Ramanuja and she said, see this Govinda, he is not agreeing to get married. I want him to set up a family, but he is not interested in that. You convince him, and like that. So Ramanuja asked Govinda, he said, you do this. So because Govinda considered Ramanuja equal to Acharya, so he agreed that because, okay, Ramanujacharya is telling, I will get married. He got married. Okay. And then the next day, after the wedding rituals were performed during the Shanti Muhurta, and after that, the next day, after that first night, which the couple have to spend together, the next morning, this Govinda's mother asked him, so, how was your experience? So, actually, what this Govinda had done is he had spent the entire night talking to his newly wedded wife and explaining to her the glories of the Lord. So, it was as if he was guiding the wife in the path of Adhyatmic practice. So, he spent the entire time like that. So, that girl also, the daughter-in-law, told the mother-in-law that your son is really so great, and thanks to him, I will also become a devotee. So this mother was very she was upset, and she said, what is this Govinda? Why I got you married? What is all this? So he said that, oh mother, when the Lord is there everywhere all around me, and I am having divine communion and experience with the Lord at all times, what will I feel like having any worldly relationship? So then after that episode, this was reported to Swami Ramanuja. After this, Ramanujacharya was convinced that if there is somebody who has time to spend in private with his married wife, and that person is only spending that time in contemplation on the Lord, in singing the glories of the Lord, in explaining the glories of the Lord, even to that wife, then it is very clear that he has totally overcome any kind of impurities of the mind. It is very clear that he has got the pakwa for further Jnana Yoga, for further, what you say, journeying on the path towards Atma Sakshatkar. So then Lord Swami Ramanuja gave permission to Govinda Bhattar and said, yes, now you are, it is the right stage of mind for you. And he told his aunt also, and he accepted Govinda Bhattar into the Matha. And then he was given the name as Embar. So from then on, Govinda Bhattar came to be known as Swami Embar. So why I explained this story is because of this whole concept that we cannot run away from situations and think that we will perfect and attain jnana. That just by going away from samsara, we will get the state of mind to become a jnani or to have Atma Sakshatkara. We have to go through the situation. We have to stay unaffected by that situation. And then only that stage will be achieved. So right now, but does it mean that we should feel scared now? Because we are nowhere near that level, isn't it? So we are at the stage where we cannot control our mind. And yet the Lord is giving us hope. Don't worry about not being able to control the mind. What is it that we should do? He has told, convert all your actions to make me the focus. You remember we talked about how the eyes should see the form of the Lord, the ears should hear the glories of the Lord, the tongue should sing the divine glories of the Lord, it should taste the holy prasada of the Lord, the nose should smell the holy tulsi which is offered to the Lord, the hands, the feet should perform seva to the Lord, should do pradakshina of the Lord, the head should bow down to the Lord's feet, right? So when we do these things continually, repeatedly, consistently, then the impurities in the mind will fade away. Then the senses will stop being able to control us. Then we will be able to control the mind. And when we are doing even other actions, whatever actions we can, do them by turning our senses towards the Lord. Along with that, whatever other actions we are bound to do in this world, at my workplace, in the family, whatever be my role in life, start performing all those actions as an offering to the Lord. I am doing this for the Lord's pleasure. I am doing this as an offering to the Lord. And with the bhava, what should be the bhava? He is the doer. I am not the one who is doing anything. He is getting it done through me. There is no outcome that I want out of this for my personal benefit. Let the world benefit from this. Let the good outcomes which come here, whatever be the outcome, I will accept it. If there is a good outcome, let it be good for everybody else, not only for my selfish outcome. Like this, when with this bhava we start doing, then we will be doing whatever is told by the Lord in Karma Yoga. Our karmas will get transformed into Karma Yoga. And when we do like this in this manner, slowly we will get to the stage where our mind gets purified. And then we will move further and further towards the Lord. So we have come to the end of our time for today. This was what we tried to understand about these two shlokas. So we saw how in the third shloka, the Lord told that I explained in the previous chapter, I explained previously about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga is for those who are having an inclination for contemplation, for thinking and philosophy and all that. Karma Yoga is for those who are inclined towards action. Now, just because you don't do the work does not mean you will not get caught up in karmic reaction. Just because you give up physically the action, you will not get jnana yoga. So what we have to do, we need to do karma along with the minimum amount of jnana so that we are not bound up in samsara. We need to do our karma with minimum jnana about Atma Swarupa, about Paramatma Swarupa, right? And with the sense that we are the instrument through which the Lord is getting things done. So when we do this, we will be able to proceed further. Our impurities in the mind will get cleansed and we will be able to reach the higher stage where we get closer to Atma Sakshatkara. So with that, we have come to the end of our time for today. Thank you. Thank you, Ranjini Ore. Thank you, Zarnaji. Thank you to everybody. There are many more people today here in the satsang. So thank you everyone for attending. Let us offer Kritagnyata, gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace always to be on us.
Thank you, Ansuya. Namaskar.
Thank you. So whatever Ranjini is saying, beautiful deciphering of a complex topic, we have to thank the acharyas that they have unraveled all this. Because when we just read translations of the Gita shlokas, we don't really understand. Because again, that is what, to be able to understand that is part of Jnana Yoga. Our mind is not clean and pure enough for that. So we need somebody to explain, to break it down to the very basic level and explain to us. So when we are having these acharyas, the commentators, it is by their mercy, by their great, act of karuna on us that we are able to access all these things. So we must be very grateful for all that they are giving to us. So many acharyas all over the world, so many acharyas. I mean, although all over the world we say we are very unique to be born in this Bharat Bhumi, isn't it? Our Janma Bhumi, our Karma Bhumi. So this is where we must have accumulated a lot of punyas, lot of sukrita in past births. So we have been born here. And then after getting this Manushya Janma, we have got access, we have got a satsanga of people, we have got access to all the thoughts which are shared with us by so many acharyas. And we are able to carry on through this satsang. So let us be grateful for that. And thank you everybody for joining in. Next, Pramila ji, we are lucky you are doing it for us. Yeah, I am lucky that you are all there so that I can do it also. And again, as I said, I should not say I am doing, isn't it? It is the Lord who is getting it done through us. So it is His wish that we should learn all this. So He made Zarna ji propose the idea that we should have a Bhagavad Gita satsang. He gave me the jnana, the access to all the acharyas and their commentators and other things, so that we have all this information available and we are able to progress ahead. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll stop here for today. We'll catch up again next week, Thursday, as usual. We will have the satsang. Namaskar. Thank you, everybody.